Hi friends, it's Thursday, it's 4 p.m. You know what that means. It's getting tipsy with Erin. Hope everyone is doing well. I know that it is supposed to be fiercely snowing outside, and I saw rain when I was driving back here earlier today from a meeting. Wishing a happy birthday to my friends Billy and Inez. So I hope they're having a great birthday. Who thinks it's going to snow? Everyone think everything's going to be closed tomorrow or tonight. I don't know. Have they closed schools? I think stuff's closing early this afternoon. I'm going to wait a little bit, let some people get on, make sure that I am working. So, there's another episode of Getting Tipsy with Erin. And this week, we are in week 3. Sorry, there was like a gnat that flew by me. This week we are in week 3 of my first time home buyer bootcamp. And which means I'm sharing everything you need to know about having a successful home buying experience. It's week 3, which means we've talked about our buyer consultation. We've talked about getting pre-approved. So if you've missed those first 2 weeks, you can, if you're on Facebook, go back and look. They're saved. If you click on videos over here, you should see them. Hi, Wayne. You can click on the videos and you can find, it would be episode 5 and episode 6. Discuss those. This is episode 7. If you are on Instagram, I have them saved on IGTV. So feel free to check out those, which have also been happening in February. So today is week 3, and we are going to walk through getting ready to go house hunting. So we're going to talk about setting up your custom search. So that's our next step, is setting up your custom search. And it's officially time to start house hunting. And how do you know what houses are even available? I know a lot of people look on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and HotPads or whatever other website you want to go on. And there's countless real estate websites, and they're trying to figure out which homes are for sale, what has an offer on it, what doesn't. And those sites are confusing. And there's a lot of reasons they're confusing, and we can talk about that. But there's a difference between houses being active, houses being contingent, which means they're under contract, but they need some, hey Nick, how you doing? They're contingent, meaning they have some contingencies on them, but they're under contract and they're in the process of going toward closing. They still show on those websites as being active, so that gets confusing. And then going pending and going closing. And those websites aren't necessarily 100% accurate because they don't have people necessarily managing them. So let's set up your custom search. So what's the first step? The first step is when we meet in your buyer consultation, I'm going to dig into all the fun stuff, like the features that you want to have in your house. What's your ideal location? What are your must-haves? What are your deal breakers? Let's prioritize what the most important things are to you, and find out what you want in your home and narrow it down, and remove the things that are going to overwhelm you. So let's look at the real things. I'm going to ask you questions like, what's the favorite room in your current house? What's the space you don't have but you'd love to have? How long do you see yourself living in the house? I think that's a lot of times buyers are thinking about their current situation, but they may plan on living in this house for 10 years. So while you may have no kids right now, you may have more kids in 10 years, or you may have some kids in 10 years, or your 2 and 4-year-old are going to be 12 and 14, and those sizes are going to be a lot bigger, and their stuff's going to be a lot more, and they may not want to share the same room. So we've got to think about that kind of stuff. So I need to learn as much about you and about why behind that, about that house, so I can help guide you in this process and make sure that you end up with the house you love. So we're going to do that during the buyer consultation. And then I'm going to set up a custom search based on all those criteria. We discussed including some specific details such as number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, size of the yard, location. There's some things that we can search for in the MLS that we can set up as specifications. There's some things we can't. I can't say Nick wants an open floor plan, an open layout. It's just not a criteria that we can search for. I can't say, I don't know, stainless steel appliances. But there are some things I can. I can say he needs at least 4 bedrooms, or when I first started, it wasn't necessarily a requirement for agents to designate that the first floor master bedroom was actually marked as a first floor master bedroom. So we didn't like to mark that in a search because we would eliminate some houses that did have it because agents weren't accurately marking it. There is some information that is still not accurately loaded in the data input, or is I don't know how to say that, agents think of it different ways. And so I may say we can search for that, but I'd rather not because I don't know that I have a feeling it could eliminate some properties that could be perfect for you. So why don't we leave it in there? And then if you see something that you think is great and I know that it goes against what you've said, I may point that out to you before we go and look at it, and I'll explain why. So let's figure that out. I'm going to set up that search for you, and I'm going to have that search set up and sent to you automatically. You could, just depending on where you are in your search, I can set it up for you so it comes to you ASAP, meaning as soon as that house hits the market, you get that email. Not 3 days later, so now it's already under contract. It's going to come to you immediately. But that also means you might get a few emails a day. I could have it set up so it sends it to you once a day, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening, depending on your preference. If you're not 100% ready yet, maybe you're looking, we're looking for 3 months from now, we're ready to look, then I may set it up so it sends it to you twice a week. And maybe you say Tuesdays and Fridays is when I want to see it. So I'll set it up for that. So it's just depending on what your preference is. And that's going to send you new listings. It's going to send you updates. So if a price change happens, or maybe this house has been on the market, but now it's come into your price range, you're going to get that listing as well. And then depending on the market and how broad or narrow your search criteria is, I can help recommend what your best choices are. And based off of what you said and the things that we can look for and can't look for, some of the things that meet that. And some buyers will even ask me to help filter through the listings first to eliminate any homes that don't meet their needs because they may be overwhelmed by that whole process, and I'm happy to do that too. Again, it's up to you and how you want to start that process. So we can also use that search to eliminate major deal breakers and include the major must-haves. Maybe you have to have a first floor master, or maybe you don't want a first floor master because you want to be on the same floor as your kids. So maybe we deal with that in the search, or maybe you absolutely need a 2-car garage and you will not accept a house with a 1-car garage. Well, let me eliminate the houses with the 1-car garage for you, because you don't want to see a house that has that gorgeous, farmhouse style kitchen with the sink and everything you love about it. And then you notice it has a 1-car garage and now you have to make that decision. And therefore it's not a contender, but your heart's broken because you saw that kitchen. So I can set up that search for you. I'll keep you on track. You're going to find the right house for the lifestyle you wanted and the things you want. And you're not going to feel overwhelmed by those sites that they're all over the place and they're not accurate. I was just on the phone with someone yesterday, and she was interviewing agents. And she said, when we decide, would you be able to look up this property? We've been following it for a little while, and then it just disappeared off of Zillow. And I said, I can look it up for you right now. I'm happy to do that. And I said, my guess is that it sold. And she said, well, it never said it was under contract. And I said, well, it's, based off of this, it's probably a cash purchase. And it probably went from active to pending. With no contingencies, but let me pull it up real quick. And I pulled it up, and sure enough, it's pending. And that's just what happens. They just disappear, and then it's not going to show up again until it's sold. So Zillow can be frustrating to people as they don't understand the interworkings behind the process. So then what happens? So then you're on a search, you're getting listings, and now you see some homes you want to look at. So now we have to decide, what are the homes worth touring? So when you find the house that you want to see, this is what you need to know. Typically, these houses are owner occupied. So I typically like to give sellers overnight notice to schedule a private showing, because if you're going to write a contract, they want that, you want to start off on a good foot. You don't want a seller to have to run out in the middle of the day. Now, if the house has gone on the market today, they're prepared to show the house today. But if you're calling, this house has been on the market for a couple days, they may be in the middle of fixing dinner for company. I don't know, it may be a snowy day and they're camping in for the rest of the day. So let's give them overnight notice. Let's set up an appointment. I typically, I'll schedule an hour time block, and I'll ask, I'll say, can we be there? Can we show the property between 12 and 1? We're not going to take a full hour, but we do want to be there on time. A lot of times I do the hour because we're going to see a couple properties and maybe we're going to stay at one place a little bit longer than the other, and I want to buffer some time for travel, and we may want to circle back. But usually an hour is a good amount of time. And sometimes we stay in a house for 15 minutes. Sometimes we're there for 45 minutes. And I'll get to know that. It's different with every client. But it's important when we go to showings to look at the houses and really take our time to look at what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If we pull up to a house and you say it's not it, I don't want to see it, we should still go in. Out of respect for the seller who has left the house to let us in it, and also just to give feedback to them. Again, it's a part of a process. You're going to sell a house at one time too, and you would want someone to do that for you as well. So let us go in the house and look at it, and it'll help you also to compare when we're looking at other properties and we're looking at price to the other properties on the market. And so you want to know those comparables. We want to keep our conversations and our thoughts on the home typically outside of the house. So regardless of whether you're head over heels in love with the house or you absolutely hate it, in today's day and time, a lot of these homeowners, a lot of these sellers have cameras in their home. My brother was selling his house in Florida, and he would call and say, oh, they said this, and oh, they said this. So they're listening. And they're watching. They're supposed to disclose if they have cameras. They don't necessarily do that. So the reason you don't want to discuss it in the house is, let's say you're head over heels and you tell them how much you love the house, or they hear how much you love the house, you're losing some of your negotiation power, some of your bargaining power, because they know you love the house. They know you'll do whatever it takes to get the house. Or let's say you hate the house and it's awful. You don't need to be rude about it. They're selling the house. If you're not going to buy it, that's fine. But let's all respect each other. And you don't need to be nasty about it. So we'll wait outside. You can comment on things, point things out, but we don't need to make remarks about the house in the house. We can always go stop by a coffee shop, stop by and grab a drink, whatever, and talk about the houses after that. And then lastly, I always recommend keeping house hunting to no more than 5 showings a day. It can get super overwhelming to extend beyond 5 in one day. The houses start to blend together, and it's really hard to track it past 5. I do have some people I have some clients right now that have been coming in town on a Friday or on a Saturday. They've been driving down from DC and driving back on the same day. So I think we saw 7 in one day. They have bought several homes before. I'm not to pat myself, but I'm pretty good at note taking. And what they're seeing is pretty different. They've got a wide variety of what they're seeing, but it's just hard. And you start to put this kitchen in this house with this living room, and you get really confused at what you're looking at, and then you fell in love with this made-up house at 123 Main Street that never existed. And then when you want to write an offer, you've written an offer on this mysterious house. So we try and keep it down to a max of 5 showings in a day. And we can see houses on Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday, or Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't care. But let's not try and see more than 5 a day, just to keep our minds clear. And, we can take some pictures, we can take some notes, just to keep it clear. So we need to set up your search. We got you pre-approved. We had our buyer consultation. We got you pre-approved. We're going to set up a search, and now we're going to start looking. So what's next? What happens when you do find the one? The house that's going to be your house. It's going to have you mentally preparing to start decorating, if you're Sally Brown, start taking down walls, putting up Pinterest boards, and just getting everything ready. So that's what we're talking about next week. So make sure to mark your calendar. 4 p.m. next Thursday, we're going to start talking about what to do after you find the house. So again, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 7, but it's week 3 of my Home Buyers Bootcamp. And thanks for tuning in to Getting Tipsy with Erin. Again, feel free to message me with any questions, or if you have anything you want me to cover. I'm doing this every week now, and I'm happy to cover it. Have a great Thursday. Everybody stay safe with this snow that I don't think is coming. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think it's coming. But happy Thursday, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.